Welcome to Life, Laughter, Divorce, episode 50. I am your host, Leanne Linsky.
And I'm the boyfriend, but 50?
50?
Yeah, that's impressive.
I know. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary.
Woo.
Woo-hoo. Valentine's
Sorry
Day.
for that, ladies and gentlemen.
That was weird. Hey, well, welcome back to a wonderful world of, a wonderful week. That too, it's weird, but okay. A wonderful week of divorce. Yes.
World?
I know.
Well, there's a lot of divorce. So,
I was thinking It's a Wonderful World. It's a song.
Let's not start singing that one.
So, hey, while you're out there tuning in, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. And remember our question of the week. Do you text while you drive? I hope not. And thank you to Bobby Leonard and also Kathy Droll, who said they do not. So thank you for responding. And I love the spam hits we got from a couple of people on that one. I'm like, hey, nice photo of your kids.
Bots. They are real, ladies and gentlemen. They're real.
The kids are the bots.
Well, probably both.
Right. Just not ours. So, yeah. So welcome back and rate, review, and subscribe. And not while you're driving. My standard PSA goes out. But good news is most of you are not texting and driving at the same time. So now that we've cleared that, and we've also discussed our question of the week already.
Do we have a new one?
Well, I don't know. Let's talk about that and
All right.
see what comes up. You know, the boyfriend and I were talking about, we had another wonderful guest on this week who we're going to introduce here in just a second. But one of the things that really kind of stood out to both of us after re-listening to our interview again and having a conversation about it is, this is really about a topic that is in the news a lot lately. I mean, we usually don't talk about current events here on the podcast or anything like that. But when we spoke to, well, I was on this interview because it was a Skype interview. But as the boyfriend and I went back and we were listening and discussing, it's really about a woman taking their voice back, especially after something significant in their life has happened that leaves us feeling broken or maybe vulnerable. But like I said, this comes up in the news a lot lately. And the boyfriend, you mentioned the Me Too movement.
Yeah, there's a lot going on about, from my perspective, women taking their own power and their responsibility of themselves back instead of being taken advantage of. And it's empowering. And I'm so happy to see this movement happening and women getting their voice to be able to describe and feel comfortable talking about their past and what's happened to them.
Right. And feeling heard, and also being able, I think too, it's putting ourselves back together in such a way that we're able to move forward and regain our confidence. Because sometimes when these things happen, it feels like a switch has been flipped off, right? And like someone blew out that light inside of you and takes that away. And when that happens, it can be really challenging to get that back. And, you know, we've heard a lot of our guests talk about getting into relationships where this has happened with them, where they become broken and not confident about being able to leave or being able to take their life back, right? And move on in such a way. So that really came through, I think, with this week's interview. And this week's is a very special guest. We spoke with Orion Talmay. And Orion Talmay is actually the founder of Orion's Method and the host of Stellar Life podcast. She helps alpha-type high achievers awaken their inner goddess. Her clients embrace their feminine power, embody sexy confidence, and attract their soulmate. Orion is a world traveler who studied under leading luminaries in personal development, health and wellness, spirituality, relationships, and sexuality arenas. She is an award-winning speaker and contributor to Intent.com and the Huffington Post. So, without further ado, I'd like you to meet Miss Orion Talmay. Well, Orion, welcome to Life, Laughter, Divorce podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful to have you here. I'm excited to learn more about you. and all of the wonderful things that you've been doing. And from what I understand is you have been married before
Mm-hmm.
and you've been divorced twice.
Yes, I was.
Okay. So, boy, we're in the same club on that one. And did you started going into your business after your divorce? Is that right?
Yes, pretty much. Well, during my well, we're talking about my second divorce, and I was doing more of a personal training, and then later on transitioning more into life coaching and then love coaching.
Ah, okay. Sounds
Mm-hmm.
like your career has transitioned where maybe you were within your life cycle of divorce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. I think, and I'm gonna go deeper into that, but looking back, I think it was one of my greatest gifts because we know what we want through contrast, and I had a lot of contrast. So through like experiencing the darkness, I knew what the light was, and I knew how to appreciate it, and it helped me clarify what I wanted to go. Also, after you go through so much pain and hardship, it's there are other emotions that surfacing, like anger, and
Mm.
anger was at at the beginning of it. Um, I know you go from sadness and then you go and you become angry, and that feels a little bit better. Then you go to sadness again, but then you go anger, and then slowly you build you build on the emotional ladder until you're fine. But for me, I think anger was a fuel, and I used it for good. And it launched me to where I am today, starting with anger into bliss, from anger to bliss.
Nice. You went in the right direction for
Yeah,
sure.
it wasn't a straight line, right?
Right.
Yes.
So I guess we should probably start a little bit more at the beginning to get an idea of who you are and to give our listeners a little bit of background. Um, so you were married twice. In your first marriage, were they back to back, or did you have some space? Do you want to give us a little bit of information on that?
Sure. So I'm from Israel, and I got married very early on when we both met in the army, in the IDF, and we fell in love. And this was a very super young love. And like, as anyone predicted, it lasted for 2 years. We were just young. We didn't really know what we really want from life or from each other, and that was it. The second time I got married was when I lived. Actually lived in New York City, and I met an American guy, and it turned out to be, he was super like jacked, and he did jiu-jitsu, and he used to like fly planes, and super cool. Fell in love head over heels, and got married with him very quickly, within a few months. I didn't even know who he was. I thought I did. I was blinded by, I guess, love and lust. And
Mm.
and after we got married, I guess there were signs in the beginning, but because I so wanted the love and to be in love, and I was, that there is a reason why they say blinded by love. I did not look at the signs. People around me notice,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody told me anything because everybody wanted to be politically correct, and nobody wanted to ruin my excitement. So I got into this relationship very, very quickly, and it turned out to be uh, day by day more and more, first verbally abusive, and I was trying to push it down, and I was trying to not not see it, and be like, the more dominant or aggressive he became, the more small and submissive I became to please him, and the more I did, the more aggressive he became, because this is the way the
Right.
dynamic with a predator works. And the first day he became violent, I ended up in a hospital, and I cut the relationship, and that was it. But those, again, we met for a few months, we were married for a few months, but that was enough time for me to be completely brainwashed, to think that I am not good enough, I'm bad, I'm ugly, I'm fat, um, whatever horrible nickname or bad name comes to mind, you name it. I've been told that, and I believe that.
Mm.
So I was completely broken. When we met, I was really like free flow, wild, bubbly, not a care in the world. And then there was a very different Orion after being brainwashed for so long,
Right.
just because I was so longing for the love, and I so wanted, to keep the love alive. So, and that was my recovery, and that put me on the path of going and exploring anything self-development and studying from the greatest leaders and luminaries of our time about how to improve my mindset. But
Right.
we talked about anger. It started with me like being so angry, and I was like, nobody's ever gonna hurt me ever again. And I studied martial arts, and I
Mm.
became really physically strong. But then I worked on my mind, and I worked on my spirit. And now, like I said, I'm looking back, it's my greatest gift, because if I didn't suffer the way I suffered, I wouldn't be so passionate about this journey of actually claiming my power, standing in my power,
Mm-hmm.
owning who I am, and figuring out who I was as a person, as an individual, as a woman, as a partner, and where is my place in the world? What is my mission in the world?
Right. When
Hmm.
you think back to where your journey started with this, after you made the active decision to leave, where did you go for your main support? Where did you find that originally?
Um, so with predators, if you analyze the behavior, and it's interestingly enough a similar behavior in most um, relationships with a narcissist or with somebody with some kind of this type of behavior, abusive behavior,
Mm-hmm.
is that they isolate you. And I was really isolated. I lost contact with my friends. I did not want to call my family on the other side of the world and share with them what I was going through, because I didn't want to bother them. I didn't want them to worry. So I think for the first 2 months, it was about like the loneliness, the depth of loneliness and pain that I felt was beyond. And it was physical pain, it was emotional pain, and me alone on the Upper East Side in New York in my little studio apartment, and feeling like the world was just like super dark. But I knew that there was a light in me. And
Mm.
if I tap and I allow my light to shine, um, I can light up my life. And I always saw myself as the phoenix rising from the ashes. So it started with little actions, like going on YouTube and finding clips, motivational clips, and things that made me laugh and things that made me smile, and reading books and consuming information to help me. I also went and I volunteered to help other women in my position, and I learned about what it. I had to understand what was going on, because this was a new situation for me. So that's why I went to training, and I learned what is predatorial behavior and what they do. And what I was doing as a volunteer is, when I was there in the hospital, there was a volunteer from, it's called Savvy, Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence Organization. And there was a representative, and she came and she was like, hey, we can help you. And it was nice to have somebody to talk to. And so I volunteers for that same organization, where I'll get the call at 3 a.m. and I'll run to the hospital to be with another survivor. But, I didn't do it for a long time because I was not completely healed at that time. It was a part of my healing journey, but then like going to the hospital and seeing the women after like really, really, after being, God forbid, raped or badly abused, it was like it was too much on my heart. It was too much on my soul. So I didn't do it for too long. But it was super helpful to understand where I was. I was reading a lot of books. And then I went to a psychologist for not too long, but for a little bit. And then she told me, well, you're very depressed. We have to put you on medications. And even though I know that psychotropic medication might be good for some people, for me, because I had that belief of I'm the phoenix and I can conquer. I was like, well, thank you so much, but I'm going to skip it. And I was trying to deal with it on my own. So I improved my nutrition. I improved my physical state. I improved my psychology. Did tons of crying. Did tons of healing work and release work and trauma work and EMDR and whatever. Like I worked on myself because I wanted to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's a lot. That is a lot. So when you were in New York and you worked with one organization for a while, and I know you mentioned you started reading books and things of that nature, when was it that you decided that you were going to become a coach?
The transitioning to become a coach, like after I felt like I was pretty healed, well, I was still doing my personal training at the time. And it was pretty interesting because every technique that I learned, I was trying on my patients. Like I was a good trainer. I knew a lot about the physical body and how to train it. But I was, since before that relationship, the idea of our subconscious mind, the power of the law of attraction, the power of how we can heal our bodies and the idea of influencing our mindset was something that I was always curious about, but that was more of a catalyst to go deeper into that. So I used to still train my clients, but every once in a while I'll put them on the table when I was stretching them, and I'll do I put them in a trance state. And I put all sorts of embedded commands into their vulnerable minds, like you are beautiful, you are strong, you eat healthy, you love your body. I also made them be aware of their language and what they say while they were training. Did they say, I can, or did they say, I can't? Like Henry Ford says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're always right. So I have them understand the power of their words. Mm-hmm. And when I'm talking about the power of the words, it's not only about what you tell other people, like, oh, I'm so silly. It's so funny to say that. It's not funny because those words goes into your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind, unfortunately, does not understand humor. And it always wants to be right.
Right.
So I told them about the words that they say out loud, but also the internal conversation. What do you say to yourself when nobody's listening is key to your success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how I transitioned, where eventually I decided to leave I had a personal training business. I mean, I had private clients, and then I would like run around the Upper East Side and Upper West Side in Manhattan and train the rich and the famous. But I was more curious about mindset, and then I started coaching. I also took courses, and I started taking seminars, and like I said, I traveled over 37 countries and studied with big leaders and luminaries, and I learned a little bit of something from each one of them, and that's what I bring into my life and into my practice.
That's a lot. You've been doing a lot of work, and so in the process, so you were a physical trainer for some time, and then you transitioned into life coaching,
right?
And
as I was seeing, like you're coaching, you focus on wellness, obviously, which would be a great fit coming from a physical trainer, and relationship and love, right?
Yeah. So I have a method. It's called Orion's method. And it's about the mind, body, and spirit, because it's all connected. We can't just treat our bodies but then have a crappy mindset. We can't just have a great mindset and expect something to happen in our lives. So Orion's method is my way of coaching. And I transitioned from more of the life coaching into more like, now I help alpha women awaken their inner goddess and attract love. And I attracted my own love, and I have my own love story. And I've been married for a year now with the most remarkable man on the planet for me. But the system is about Orion is an acronym. So O is open your heart. R is release the past and return to love. I is ignite your passion. And O, own yourself and your feminine power, because I work primarily with women and some cool men. And N is nourish your body, mind, and spirit. So it's everything. And those steps, it's not a linear process, because everybody comes and everybody has something that is missing. Not necessarily missing, is something that is more in the dark. And I just shed light on the missing puzzle piece, and then we work on it. So everybody needs a different step, or a combination of a few of them.
So when people approach you for coaching, where are they in their cycle typically? Are these people who are like in the midst of a divorce, or are these people who've had bad relationships or are in between where are they in life typically?
Typically the women that I work with are the women that did some healing around their divorce, but they are missing the tools to move forward with owning their power and truly finding love and truly understanding polarity, feminine, masculine polarity, and understanding their part in a relationship as a woman. Yeah, I don't really work with people that, just got divorced and are in the midst of all the chaos. It's almost like they come to me more when they are ready to, they're like, I'm good, I'm ready to blossom.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. It's often hard to coach someone who's in the middle of crisis.
Yeah, I think this is more of a job of a psychologist, and I know there are specific coaches that will coach you through that specific super painful time. But my area of genius is really how to, like I said, help them blossom and attract love and shine their true, amazing inner beauty.
And I have a question. I noticed that on your website, and even when talking to you, you've mentioned the alpha female.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this. I want to hear more. What is
You're probably one of them. The alpha, it's exactly what it sounds. It's that alpha type, driven. She's got her own business, or she's like a big, she's positioning well in the corporate world, and she's this alpha type. She's an achiever. She goes after her dreams, and she gets them. And what I do with the women is I turn them into alpha goddesses.
I like it.
It's not only alpha, like this is without losing all those traits that made them super kick-ass and successful and adorable. I make them even more adorable.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So when women, like, let's say one of our listeners is looking for a coach and they want to tap into this stuff. What if they're nowhere near being alpha at this point? What if maybe we've recovered from a relationship, but, I think, as I know from hearing your story too, and I totally get it, there's that place where you feel like someone flipped that light off in you and you have to flip it back on.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that going through your divorce coaching, or not your divorce coaching, but your coaching with the Orion method, is that where we can find a place to like flip that light back on and to get those qualities back?
It's all about the light. My mission in life is to light people up. And when the switch is off, to turn it on. Yes, my target audience is more of the alpha, but like I'm willing to talk to any woman, and if we are a good fit, and if I feel like I can help her and she feel like I can help her, then and we're clicking, then yes, of course, I'm here. There are different people for, we all have different style of learning and different people that we relate and click with. But if there's a click, if I see that as long as the woman is ready, willing, and able to move forward, she's got big enough why and a big enough desire, we can conquer. We can break through. We can excel and awaken the goddess and feel amazing and attract love, attract abundance, and do whatever.
Yeah.
It's as long as the person is ready, willing, and able, I am here because this is my mission. And I'm doing it because when I was in a dark place, I had coaches and mentors in the form of, coaches that I talked to on the phone, and seminars and books, and they helped me rise. And I feel like this is why I do what I do, because it's my time to reach out and help somebody else and pull her up, so she will pull somebody else and they will pull somebody else. And so the world is a better place.
Yes. And so I'm familiar with what coaching is. I totally get it. I understand. But for people who aren't in there, like, because you include the body and the mind, are you working with wellness on a nutritional level and physical level with people?
Not quite. I mean, I make suggestions and we work on that if it's needed, but it's more like it's not like we meet one-on-one and I train them. Like I will touch on it to a level where it's satisfying. But for me, the deeper work is on the subconscious mind, because they said that 10% of what you experience is in your conscious mind and 90% is in your subconscious mind, where some people say it's 5 and 95. And so what I like to do is to help them using all kinds of processes and actually speak to the subconscious mind, because you can't speak sometimes logically to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind understands metaphors, understands symbols. So through different processes, we go into the subconscious mind, we break it down. I like to tell stories because the subconscious mind understands stories. We do processes, we do journaling, we do all kinds of things that help them pop. And sometimes it happens super quickly. Like I had a woman that came to me to find love, and kind of like, by the way, on the first session, I discovered that she's a heavy smoker, and it bothered me because she's killing herself. So we talked about it and we did some processes, and on her third coaching session, she stopped smoking after 15 years of smoking. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Because it's a tiny subconscious mind shift in awareness. Sometimes a little shift in the awareness can go a long way. And this is not what I do. I'm not here to help people with addictions, but this is kind of like the side effects of what I do.
Okay.
Because everybody gets what they need.
Right.
And I also believe I'm very spiritual. I believe that everything is divinely guided. There is a reason why you and I are talking right now, and we're connecting, especially right now at this moment. And the person that is listening right now, there is a reason why he or she is listening right now. And I don't know what it is, but there is the bigger picture. So when a woman comes to me, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict the future. But what I know guarantee is that she's going to leave better than she came.
Nice.
Yes.
That is a really good feeling. And so hearing, one of the keywords I'm picking up is a lot of spirituality and, you know, trusting that things are happening in the right place at the right time. Do you have examples of like how you found this to be in your own life?
Things that happen in the right, yes. You want to hear a story?
I would love to hear a story.
Okay, so this is a testament from my own experience to the power of surrender to a higher power, to some people call it God, some people can call it the Holy Spirit, whatever you call it. It's that force that makes your life beat when you don't even conscious of it. It's that force that makes you breathe. It's your soul. It's that force that is between atoms, and this is the force that connects everything and everyone on this planet and other planets. And I believe that this is the force that we all are able to tap into if we only allow it. So I went to a Tony Robbins event. It was my second Tony Robbins event. The first one was Unleashing the Power Within, which is the kind of like the entry level. And the second one is the Date with Destiny. And Tony, if you go on Netflix, there is a movie, a documentary. It's called I Am Not Your Guru. And it's a documentary about Date with Destiny and all the what Tony does with people there. So I went there to work on my business. I back then I had the training business, and I was like, yeah, I just want to make more money. And then every day is dedicated for a different topic. And then there was the relationship day, and Tony talked and demonstrated what it is, polarity in relationship, and what is masculine energy and what is feminine energy. And I was carrying so much masculine energy in my life, and I couldn't understand why. I can't really date anyone for more than 2-3 months. And I looked feminine. I had feminine exterior, but I couldn't really date. And then Tony talked about polarity, and something clicked in me, and that like our homework was to write our relationship vision, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And that night at 1 a.m., which was when the day was over, because the days are super long, I sat by a waterfall outside of the resort, and it was beautiful desert sky full of stars. And I was just like praying, and I started to cry and laugh and cry and laugh. And finally I was at peace. I was completely shaken, and I was at peace, and I was able to write my relationship vision. And when somebody writes their relationship vision, there are two components that are very important, because everybody writes what they want in a partner. I want him tall, dark, and handsome. He should make this amount of money and have this type of car, and big laundry list of what we desire. And it is important to give clarity to what you desire.
Right.
And the second component is, who do I need to become to attract that type of person? Do I need to become sweeter, kinder, a better partner? Do I need to control my emotions better? Do I need to learn how to communicate better? Who do I need to become to attract that person? And so I sat and I wrote down those two lists. Who do I want? Who do I need to become to attract that man? And 48 hours later, at 1 a.m., I met Stefan, my husband.
Oh my gosh.
And 9 days later, he proposed to me on a hot air balloon in Vegas.
What?
Yes, with a diamond ring and everything. We were in this little basket in the sky, and all of a sudden, he's on 1D with a diamond ring, and the guy that operates the hot air balloon is just standing there with an iPhone videoing us. And I said no. because I had the experience of running and
Yes.
getting married. So I was like, well, no, you are amazing, and no.
Right.
And it was really a very awkward 20 minutes descending into Vegas.
Yeah, you can't get
This is
away.
I was a captive audience, literally.
Oh no. So this was 9 days later. He proposed to you in a hot air balloon where you couldn't get away. So you had, and you said no. What happened next?
What happened next is that and this is why he proposed. I think that because of where we were, it was almost after 6 days of soul shedding and putting down masks one after the other, and really looking deep into our soul and figuring out and clarifying our vision, that when we met, we were in a cleaner and higher vibration. So our connection was cleaner. There were no dating games. We met almost on the soul level. So our beginning was from a very high place. That's why with my husband, if we go down, if we are, with like low emotions, it's really hard for us. We need to like really make sure that we are mostly in a higher vibration, meaning like less angry, kinder, sweeter. And I guess it's right with any relationship, but I just feel like because of where we started, we have a bar that we need to meet.
Right.
So 9 months later, he took me by surprise to the same resort, and I was completely clueless. And he proposed to me by the same waterfall, and that time I said yes. Yes.
Wow.
And so this is how, I guess, the power of the universe, the power of surrendering to higher power works, and the power of creating clarity around your vision and around your commitment to who you are. Because I don't know who's listening, but there is something out there that is listening and guiding. I always felt like something was guiding my life, even in my darkest moment, because we cannot see the biggest picture. Sometimes bad things happen. It's life. We can't see the gift in it. It's almost like a gift with a bow on the bottom. And we can open that gift just years later, looking back and understanding, okay, this is why I had to experience that. So I can become who I am today, and I can meet this man. I don't know why I had to go through all that, but I guess I did.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah.
The boyfriend and I talk about that all the time. If we had met 5-10 years ago, we probably would have looked at each other and been like, yeah, right. Because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you need or what you can learn to appreciate.
And I can guarantee you that if I met Stefan a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 6 days before the day that I met him, we would probably go for coffee, and that was it. Or we just pass through like two ships in the night. Right. And I would not recognize him because I couldn't see that part that needed to be worked on in myself. And that's what I teach my clients. It's about taking responsibility to who you are, to your emotions, and understanding that nothing is happening to you, and the universe is conspiring for you.
Right.
It's a better thought. It's a better way to live life.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And knowing that you're getting exactly what you need in order to get yourself to the next place. Sometimes we need that extra push because we're not doing it on our own.
Yeah. But we need to look at the signs and recognize the signs. Like sometimes we go through the same lesson over and over again because we didn't get it.
Right. And that was actually going to be my next question for you. Looking back from the beginning of your story of where you started this specific, more spiritual journey with yourself after being in the hospital, looking back, not only do you recognize the signs that you missed, but do you understand why you missed them?
To some degree. I don't know if I understand anything. I understand something about it. I can see it looking back and analyze it and be really analytic about it and psychological about it. But
yeah,
there are the things that we know, And there are the things that we know we don't know. And there are the things that we don't know we don't know.
So maybe better than an understanding of why you missed them, maybe there's an acceptance that you did.
Acceptance, yes, and forgiveness.
Right, which is
for myself
tremendous.
And
forgiving ourselves for the things that we think are our fault, whether they are or not. I think it plays a huge role in our ability to move forward.
Yeah, it's the first step for many people. The first step. And not only I called my ex and I forgave him, I called and I asked for forgiveness. What?
Yeah.
Why? But he was like this, and he was like this, and he was like this, and this is exactly what went through my brain. Why do I need to ask for forgiveness? Because so there is this saying that when you're angry about if you're angry at someone, it's like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. Because the moment I ask for forgiveness, I own myself. He's got no power. I ask for forgiveness because it was my decision to enjoy the sweet moments with him. I ask for forgiveness because I might have said something that triggered him. I ask for forgiveness because the moment I ask for forgiveness, I own the fact that everything that happened was my decision. It was my decision to meet him. It was my decision to be with him. It was my decision to get into a fight with him. It was my decision to stay for as long as I stayed in the relationship and not see the sign. And I'm telling you, even though like, oh, poor me, I'm sure that I've done things that triggered him, whether it was like something that will trigger a normal person or not. In his reality, I did it to him. So stepping into his shoes, asking forgiveness for my part of it, liberates me and helps me own who I am. And from that moment on, after I did it, and was the hardest, most difficult phone call I've ever made in my life, I was free.
That is huge. And how far after, what did that happen for you?
Well, I was, I all of a sudden I started dating here and there, and I had more power. That energy that went into victim mentality, and for me, was transformed into building myself and moving forward. So I stopped living my life. It's almost like you live your life driving forward, looking in the rearview mirror.
Right.
I look forward. I stopped looking back.
That's wonderful. You've really come a long way.
Thanks.
What a beautiful story. What a great experience and journey. I'm sure it's not been easy, but there's lessons that you've learned and tremendous growth that's come as a result of it. So that's phenomenal.
And I feel like right now I live a blessed life. I have my own podcast. It's called Stellar Life, because I feel like I do live a stellar life. And like you said, it came so far, and that's why I like sharing that knowledge and bringing a lot of the knowledge that I learned to other people, because it can help them live their own stellar life.
That's wonderful.
And none of that would have happened if I didn't go through whatever I had to go through.
That's right. I wouldn't be doing this if I hadn't been married and divorced twice either. That's for sure.
Amen.
Right? Look at all the good things. Lots of good things. I'm so grateful because we've become the people that we've become, and we were given.
I'm so curious about the boyfriend and the momnonymous.
Yes.
I'm so curious. Who are they?
My man of mystery, the boyfriend. He likes to remain anonymous. Because when we started this, he said, "This is your thing. This is kind of your world that I'm stepping into, and I'm a part of your life after divorce, and I want to learn from it too." So, yeah.
Wow.
So he's been a part of it, and then Momnonymous is our anonymous blogger who happens to be a mom of divorcees. And so she likes to contribute too. But again, being her thing was coming from a place of that she's been married for actually 56 years. She kind of wanted to remain anonymous and put her 2 cents and just speak from the bigger picture. And it's kind of cool because I'm surrounded by people who accept me for who I am at this time in my life and this point in my journey, and are willing to learn and grow from it as I am. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. So this has been wonderful talking to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time, and especially in the new year as we look into 2018 with really great things coming on. So I really appreciate you sharing the Orion method with us. I think it's pretty cool. And I loved hearing your story. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure all of your contact information is in our show notes, and our listeners will be able to reach out to you. If they take a look in the show notes, all of those are in the description of where this is, where they find us on the internet, where they're listening, where they're downloading, and also on my website. So by all means, please keep in touch. And if you have more exciting things happening that you'd like to share, you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you. Can I share something?
Yes.
Okay, because I have something I'm really excited about.
Okay.
And this is for the ladies. And guys, if you're listening, thank you for listening. Share it with a lady that you like, and help her, because just if they can go on my website, orionsmethod.com, I'll be launching Awaken Your Inner Goddess 7-Day Challenge. It's a challenge that I launched last year, and women got tons of breakthroughs, and I'm invited to weddings. It's really cool. So this is coming up around Valentine's Day. So I just wanted to share that with everybody who's listening. Stay tuned and follow orionsmethod.com.
I love it. Invited to weddings and 7 days challenge.
Yeah, well, it's a year later. A year later after they took the challenge.
Really?
Within from last year to this year, tons of breakthroughs happened in their lives just by them investing 15 minutes a day of a challenge and being around a very loving and supportive and nurturing community.
Whoa. So wait a minute. You were invited to their weddings.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I thought.
Yeah, because my wedding happened already.
Okay. No, this is really cool. So ladies, this is an opportunity for you coming up around Valentine's Day. So we will definitely keep everyone informed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best in the new year.
Yeah. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.